Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show with Carol and your daily cast of characters, where we discuss the issues of the day, entertainment news, what's really going on in Washington, and the world. Why don't we just hear it from the horse's mouth himself?
We can't have someone in the Oval Office who doesn't understand the meaning of the word confidential or classified. I don't think it's safe to be briefed on national security because the word will get out. I know at some point they're going to want to brief me, but I'm not a talker about this stuff. This is like Watergate, only it's worse. Because here, our foreign enemies were in a position to hack our most sensitive national security secrets.
Of course, it turns out the Russians didn't need to hack Hillary's email server. They were able to hack Trump's mouth.
This is like Watergate, only it's worse.
The Lee Michaels Show on the Power of Voices Radio Network.
And welcome as we kick off another week. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show with Carol and the cast of characters. Thank you for taking the time to join us today and every day at 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday. And that is Pacific time. If you're in the Midwest, it's noon. On the right coast, not that is right, but on the right side of the country, it's 1 p.m. Monday through Thursday. That's the kickoff time for this show. And I'm feeling pretty good. I hope you are. Had a pretty good weekend. Got a little bit of rest. Did some driving. Going to do a little more driving this week, I think. I'm working on a goal to reach a certain amount of income this week, so I'm going to push myself a little bit. Because I got get ready for Christmas and the granddaughters. And all the, friends and family members, you gotta get right. You got to get ready for them. Right, Carol?
Yeah, I don't think I'm celebrating this year.
Not at all?
No.
You're going to be a Scrooge, huh?
No. I don't think it's always got to be about gift giving.
Yeah, but it sure makes people happy. And that's I like making people happy. If they deserve.
Sometimes it's just you don't want to spend all that money.
Well, you don't have to spend a lot. Just, a gift of love and a thought could be something really small.
Well, Christmas really wasn't it about Jesus being born?
Of course. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, but
a lot of holidays I don't really celebrate a lot.
Okay.
You can give a gift any time of the year.
You don't do birthdays?
I guess I don't. No. I didn't get a cake.
What about Halloween? You don't want cake.
I don't really celebrate Halloween.
Okay.
I've never been one to want to wear a costume.
What about Thanksgiving?
I usually do Thanksgiving because of the dinner.
Mm-hmm. Now, how does the American Indian view Thanksgiving?
I've never thought about that. I guess, I don't know. I don't even know what the real meaning of Thanksgiving is. Or is that because Columbus or the white people discovered America? Is that what it is?
Basically.
Oh, well, I don't celebrate it for that reason.
I
just like turkey and dressing.
Yeah, me too. Cornbread dressings.
Gravy. It's so hard to look at news to see how Trump's just what he's doing. I'm just afraid he's going to push that button.
No.
He's crazy.
He's crazy.
He didn't even give the Democrats and Republicans the chance to sit down and try to fix this Obamacare. He came in with Trump care, and it's horrible because he goes, the insurance will be cheaper for poor people.
Lie.
That insurance isn't going to cover nothing.
No.
Anybody with an existing condition, you can forget it. They can charge you whatever they want.
Yep. Well,
so this country's going backwards.
Yeah,
Get this nut out of office. I'm glad Jimmy Kimmel went off on Donald Trump's son.
What did he say?
He came in and he was upset. He tweeted him. He said, "Why aren't you talking about Weinstein?" Well, my boob was showing.
Oh, I didn't
he
see
said,
it.
"Why aren't you talking about Weinstein?" With the pedophile. And Jimmy Kimmel came back at him, tweeted back. He said, because I didn't feel like, he said, but okay. He posted that thing. Remember when Donald Trump was on that bus and he was telling them about how he could just kiss anybody, and he's a star when you're a star, and talking about PUSS. He posted that.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's son shut up real fast.
Right. He opened up a can of whoop-ass
because everybody wants
himself.
to know why isn't there charges being pushed against him? Some of these people were underage that he went and messed with, did stuff to.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, once you become the president, you can't sue him.
They can't sue him, but they can press charges.
But you can't. Because he's the president now.
Oh, so in other words, he could go kill somebody and it's okay.
Pretty much. He told you that when he was campaigning. Yeah. He says, I can go out in the middle of Times Square and shoot somebody, and you dumbasses are still going to follow me.
I just live to open up the news, and they say that he was bombed today.
He was bombed?
That they put him down, him and whatever.
Yeah.
I will go to the streets, and I'll cry of happiness. Not sadness.
You'll be dancing in the streets.
I sure in the hell will be.
I'm going to get that on Facebook.
You know, it's sad because it's not just Democrats feeling this way now.
Oh, yeah. I think people are beginning to feel the stupidity that's coming out of this guy. And, people who voted for him are now looking at him a little differently.
I don't even think you could use the word stupidity. I don't think there's a word to describe this man.
No. But I think anybody that thought he was going to be a good president is stupid.
I don't even think it was
not
that.
Informed.
Some people I've talked to, they go, well, I'm a Republican. And I said, so you would just put anybody in office because I said, if he ran on the democracy, I wouldn't have voted for him as a Democrat. No way.
Yeah, me either. I would not have. And it would have been the first time for me. If he had run as a Democrat, I would not have supported him at all.
Isn't Banning turning against him now, too?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said he shouldn't mess with that insurance or something. He said something I was shocked to hear him say.
Yeah. He's got a little axe to grind with him. Let's bring Chris in. Hey, Chris.
Yes. Boom. Shakalaka. Good morning, Lee. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Hey. How was your weekend?
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Got a chance to. I'm trying to catch up on watching movies. I miss watching movies a lot, so I'm trying to catch up on that. So been doing that for a little bit. In fact, when I was channel surfing this past weekend, there was this movie I had come across. It was back in 2008. I'm going to give you the information about it. It's called what was it?
What are you having?
What was it?
You having a mental breakdown?
No, I haven't. No. I had that 2 years ago. That's besides the point. I'm crossing two movies in my mind at one time. I'm making sure I get the title right.
Crossbreeding.
So what? Yeah, exactly right. So I'll get the title in a second. But it had to do with the holidays. It was a Puerto Rican family that stays on the west side of Chicago in a Humboldt Park, and the cast was phenomenal. And these are people that I've caught on individual projects or movies or independent productions. It was Alfred Molina, Luis Guzman, Elizabeth Pena, who passed away recently, God bless her soul, and John Leguizamo, and Deborah Messing. It was a damn good cast. Mm-hmm. And I think when I was told it was the same people that produced Soul Food that was filmed here in Chicago a while back as well.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Right. So they did like a Puerto Rican version of that with a family. And it was pretty nice. I mean, with a cast like that, I mean, it's going to be well. And then to see all these actors who happen to be some of my favorites in one movie, it was just, you sit back and watch all this bounce off each other and get that energy and vibe. It was a very good movie. I'll get the title in a second, but I was crossing two movies at one time, besides having a old man brain fart situation.
That was a popcorn moment watching that movie, huh?
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't do a lot of movies. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember the title of the last movie I went to. I think I went to a movie with Carol and Josefa. Didn't we go to a movie one time together? No? Oh, no, it was Cabrini. Cabrini, Josefa, and I. And I don't even remember the name of the movie.
No, I didn't go to a movie with you.
Yeah, and that's been a year and a half ago. So that shows you how often I go to a movie. And then to sit and watch a movie on TV is hard for me to do because I just don't have time I'm always doing something.
So you gotta stay busy. Is pretty much what you're saying. You can't sit down and relax.
Yeah. Relax. What's that?
See, there you go.
I don't know how to do that. And I'm supposed to be retired. Somebody, that memo didn't get out. Nobody knows I'm retired. Shit.
Well, certainly that could be. Here's the thing about retirement. People that I know who's supposed to be retired are not in retirement.
No,
they keep it moving.
Yes, like my son Corey. He says, "Dad, you need to do something." I said, "What do you mean I need to do something?" So yeah, you should drive Uber and Lyft. I didn't even know what the hell it was. So what's an Uber? What language are you speaking?
Right.
What the hell are you talking about? So, there's no rest for the weary.
Well, you haven't looked back since you started the whole Uber thing.
I know. It's like an obsession. But anything that I like and really enjoy, I go all the way. I remember the first time I went snow skiing. Most people go and, you go to the little bunny trail and you rent some skis, and not me. I bought everything. Skis, the poles, the boots, the outfit. I got to be official. And, I got into it. It was fun, but it's just too damn cold. If you can figure out how to snow ski at 75 degrees, I'm good. I'm all in.
Right, that's different.
See, and back in those days, I had a mustache. And it's not fun when you've got icicles hanging from your mustache. That just doesn't work.
No, that's not cool at all.
No, that's not made for humans. So, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Same thing with boating. Most people go out and rent a small boat or start out small. I went with a 53-foot motor yacht, day one. So I guess it's an obsession with, going all the way, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But that's just me. So, yeah, I jumped into the Uber and all that. Now, really, the only reluctance I have, I wish I'd purchased one of those SUVs versus a regular size, car.
Well, why is that?
Well, you make more money, and I'll have a bigger captive audience. You can seat 6 people.
See, that's where I think where you live and breathe, that is the captive audience part. I mean, just hamming it up and, having people in there, performing, like I said before about performing. That's the performance side of you, yeah. Yeah,
and I tell the passengers that, when we started a little conversation, they said, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm in the radio business. And they go, oh, yeah, you kind of have that voice. I said, yeah, I got that face, too. And they break up laughing. And, then we get into a conversation. Well, what do you do? And they tell me what they do and all that. So it becomes a fun conversation. And, one thing leads into another. And I said, yeah, well, the reason I'm doing Uber and Lyft now is because now I have a captive audience. You can't tune me out until I put you out. They get a kick out of that.
Oh, yeah, I found the name of the movie. It's called Nothing Like the Holidays. That's
Nothing Like the Holidays. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. Check that out. Who is that just pinged in? Oh, Alpha. Hey, Alpha, how you doing? No?
He pinged out.
Yep. Tweety Bird left.
Rejoining.
Yeah. Alpha?
Yeah. How's everybody?
Well, good. How about you?
All right.
Chris?
Not too shabby.
Is Carol there?
Yes, Carol's here.
Yeah, I'm just
Hi,
listening.
Carol.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing sketchy.
Sketchy? What's the matter with you?
Oh, nothing's the matter with me. It's just that, with all this going on, and just the limp response to this man lying about everything, but, everybody's, going along like.
Yeah.
Be
Alpha,
happy.
I look at you as a very well-read, deep thought type person. If you were appointed or elected the head of the Democratic Party, what would your strategy be right now?
The biggest problem they have is messaging. When this man comes out and says the CSR giveaways to the insurance company, I'd have everyone in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, calling this man the death panel that Sarah Palin warned everybody about, because that's what he's doing. He's killing subsidies for poor people. And when you speak to the media, chastise the media, chastise the media for going along with his "you'll see," or "we'll find out," or "in a couple of weeks," or many people are saying, some people are saying, or a lot of people are saying, this man is a canard, and he has had the help of the conservative right-wing media to help him along. And that would be the battle. The biggest battle right now would be to get the ads out to take the House back, because they voted for Trump care. They voted to kick 20 million people off of health care. And 70%.
Did they vote? I thought that.
Well, they voted 60 times to.
But I don't think they wanted what he's doing.
Well,
the House voted for that.
Right, they sure
He
did.
said
The House
since they can't seem to get it together, he would take over. That
Because
was his
they didn't.
That's his
Because
threat
they
against
did
the
not pass
Republicans.
it doesn't mean they didn't vote for it.
Right.
They are on the record as voting for it.
He's doing so much right now, though. He's giving speeches to people that hate gay people, that he's 100% supporting them. So what's that, the next step? Is he going to start letting them shoot them and that?
Well,
Yes.
He's a sick man.
Just pay attention to what he's doing and how he's doing.
Didn't you hear me this morning? He makes me sick. He makes me sick.
Well, Carol, you can
I
either be
hate
sick.
him.
Okay. Well, you share the feelings of a lot of people.
I'm disappointed in my family that voted for him. I'm disappointed when they say, well, I'm a Republican. I wanted to say, well, would you vote an asshole in or a dog if since you're a Republican? Because basically that's what they've done.
Yeah.
And, there's no excuse for it. Why would you vote somebody in that knows nothing about being a politician? To him, he thinks it's his TV show right now. That's what it really is to him.
Yeah. Well, that's the world.
And if they don't get him out soon, he's going to push that button. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, he's going to push. He's going to push that button
nuclear button
after he kills enough Americans with this health care. I guarantee you, in January, when they bring back reconciliation, he will have the votes to totally kill Obamacare.
He's going to kill us with that button he can push to send a nuclear bomb.
He'll kill us with that later. And see, you have to understand, this is par for the course, but time marches on. And the limited, impotent, limp response to what he is doing is emboldening him to continue to do it. You got people who are challenging him in court about the payments to the insurance companies. He's got a court fight on that. He's got a court fight on the birth control. He's got court fights all over the place. But see, that's the design. You create enough havoc. Carol, if you haven't seen or read Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein, do so. It'll show you how you create enough chaos and enough tragic events that you can push legislation through that you normally would not be able to get past. Did you see the 60-minute bit about the opioid and the people who enabled the opioid legislation and took the teeth out of the DEA to stop these pills from being mailed and sent? That is the Congress after they were paid off by the medical,
the
Pharma Association.
Yep.
You got to see that clip. It wasn't just a story. It was an expose on Marsha Blackburn. She's running for Senate. This is she's right behind Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann as far as nutty.
The gruesome
but
threesome.
she's gonna be a senator along with the boy from Alabama, the former Supreme Court judge, federal judge, whatever judge he was, that they kicked out because he was in violation of the law,
Right.
they're going to be senators.
Unreal.
So when are you going to turn into the fight? When is everyone concerned going to turn into the fight? When I've seen the story, have you seen the story where they are saying that when Trump is found out, when all the evidence is in, and it's shown that Russia, he colluded with Russia, shouldn't Hillary be appointed president?
Well, you would think that because the election was tampered with, you would think that one or two things should happen. Either she would automatically become the president and create a new cabinet, or you have a new election.
I prefer a new election.
Excluding him.
Well, I prefer a new election. I don't care. You see, when you have that new election, I don't care who's on the other side. They're going to pour billions of dollars behind him.
Right.
It's their agenda that they want through.
Of course.
It is their ideology that they want to come to fruition.
Totally.
If
Absolutely.
you can get tax cuts from 35% corporate down to 20 or 15, they're talking about getting Trump out. Trump's got to go with Pence and Ryan. All of them have to go in order for there to be some sanity, for there to be a level playing field.
I agree with you. I agree. And anybody that during this investigation that found either had knowledge of or participated, as far as I'm concerned, they're all tainted. And they should not be allowed to hold office.
They're sick. I mean, President Trump joked to Pence that he wants to see gay people hanged. My son's gay, and nobody's touching my son. I hate him. They could give me a gun because I'm older now. I wouldn't give a shit. I'd go in there and shoot his ass in a minute. And I don't care who hears me say this.
Carol,
I really don't.
we're going to have to send Secret Service to visit.
I hate him.
Take it easy.
I've never hated somebody so much.
Well, he's a easy person to hate, and anybody that thinks that he is a good human being, that he has anybody's best interest at heart other than his own, his family members and the people that he's on the take from, then I feel sorry for you because you're sadly ignorant. You're you're incompetent in your thinking. Period.
Well, it's not about their thoughts. They don't care about the morality of their thoughts, Lee. What is driving this? What is driving his backers is hatred and bigotry. What is driving his backers is the return to white supremacy rule. White supremacy is still in effect, but they've slipped. And
well, this is their last chance to hold on to any kind of power because the population change in America is what's driving them crazy. You know, they're picking on the Latinos right now, but that's really not their problem.
I think a lot of reason why he's picking on them because he knows California didn't support him. And we're number 6 in the world for top producing. So by picking up as many Latins as he can, that's who works those fields. So they're scared to come over here and work them. I mean, a lot of them come in as day workers, and I don't think he can stop that. But see, he's even stopping entertainers from around the world to come into this country. It's unbelievable what this man. I didn't know we had that much hate in this country. I'm shocked with the hate and the racism, and it's
Carol,
making me sick.
It's among.
I am shocked.
A minority of the people.
I don't sit around those kind of people, so I'm.
It's shocking.
Seeing it, so of course it's really bothering me.
Shocked and appalled.
I am.
I'm shocked and awed.
I mean, my family's not like that. Even though my sisters voted for him, they voted because they're Republicans. How could you vote because you're a Republican for an idiot?
Well, they didn't take the time to look at what he was talking about.
And I have clients that think he's okay.
Well,
it's obvious you don't care about the people that sit around you that don't have money because it's what he's doing that right now at the medical. It's a modern day genocide because the insurance he wants to give, it will be really cheap, but it's not going to cover nothing. Anybody with an existing condition, you can forget it. They can charge you whatever they want. So.
Yeah. Did you hear what you just said, Carol? It's a modern day genocide.
It is.
And
I've
that
said
should
that
be
all
the
along.
message. That should be the message. You say, look, they get away with everything by repeating it ad nauseum. The truth must be spoken more than once.
I mean, you don't think it's weird one of his aides was shot, 8 times in his house? Somebody that was no longer, I think, working for him. This was over the weekend. I'll find it and give you the whole. Did you read it?
Who was that?
Huh?
Yeah.
Let me find out who it was.
Yeah, he's February.
Chris, who was that?
Who was that? Yes, definitely past tense.
Yeah.
Maybe he survived.
No, he's
8
dead.
times?
Oh,
I think they
okay.
said
Unless they
8
shot him
times
in the
or
big
something,
toe.
He was shot.
He might be
Pinky
toeless.
toe.
Oh, my pinky toe.
Oh, damn.
Oh, now you want to shoot me my pinky toe.
Well, I don't think it's nothing to joke about. I mean, a person's dead.
No, hold on a second.
No, he's dead for a reason.
Let me say this about the joking thing. Let me speak for myself. If I did say something like that, I'm not saying the situation is not serious, because it is. This is the way I deal. I'm not trying to make fun of it. I just internalize it, because if I really want to say what I really want to say and go off, I'll be in the hospital. I love myself too much not to be back in the hospital. So I have to mechanize it to my confirmation of how the situation is. So I'm not trying to make light of it. I do have some side jokes, but Carol, please don't get it twisted. I know you're serious about it. I just know how I have to deal with it.
Yeah, and you have to put a little humor into stuff, otherwise your freaking head will explode.
Well, it just bothers me what is going on.
Well, I think it bothers most people in this country.
And
around the world.
Absolutely.
Have you seen him say anything about what's going on up north, those fires, and all the people that are dead?
No, he's not going to say.
People they can't
It's a blue
find?
state.
He hasn't said
He
one
doesn't
word.
care.
He went golfing. That's where they could get him.
And he hasn't said much.
Yeah, but by this time, do you expect him to say anything?
No, I don't. And see, that's where I am with him. Listen, he's already shown who he is. And if it's not about him, if it's not going to benefit him, fuck it. He doesn't care. And I got to make it plain. Now, what about the young military guys that were recently killed over in, what was it?
He hasn't done nothing about that.
Not a word.
Yeah.
Not a word.
But he'll quickly use the flag and the military when it's convenient.
They let him use it.
Well,
the media allows him to use it, just like you brought that up. The 4 military bodies came home this past weekend. He was on the golf course. Where was Mike Pence? Was he walking out of another NFL stadium?
Mm-hmm.
Look, this is about messaging.
Absolutely.
And if you can't get together with your messaging to paint them for who they are, no hyperbole, no over the top, truth.
That's it.
Messages. You have the truth on your side. Use it.
That's right. When people do the facts checking and it's true, then bingo, that destroys the credibility of a moron.
It's for you, Lee.
Yeah, it probably is. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, who's this?
It's me.
Oh, it's you?
Yeah, it's me. I'm just eavesdripping right now.
Oh, that's Ron. I had to listen to the voice for a second.
Oh, I thought it was our one guy. I was like, oh, not today.
Spy Boy?
Yeah, I was like, not today, because I'm in the mood
You
to
can
go
take
at
some
him.
Spy Boy.
No.
You can take some Spy Boy. Come on.
Not today, I can't.
How was your weekend, Ron?
Oh, man, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The weather was on my side. And
Did you go
know
flying?
What I did.
Yeah?
Huh?
You went flying?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Where'd you go?
Vegas.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, and you didn't call your boy.
Oh, come to think about it, I'm going to this on the special flight on the 28th of this month, which is a Saturday.
Okay.
And it's the California Red Tails getting together in this place called Columbus, California. And it's about, 50 miles northeast of Fresno. And it's in the foothill of the Sierra Mountains. Old town, old mining town.
Okay.
It's nostalgic, and they got what he call stage coaches and stuff like that there. We're all going to meet there. And the
Nice.
attendance is going to be real good, one of the best ones of the year.
Okay.
And you're invited to go with me, and I'm taking in my airplane Logan Westbrooks.
Oh,
and
Logan.
hopefully you.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, tell the people what the California Red Tails is all about, because that could, I mean, I know what it is, but give us a little background on what the California Red Tails is all about.
Okay, California Red Tails is a airplane aviation organization, nonprofit, and we are a chapter of the BPA, the Black Pilots of America.
Mm-hmm.
Black Pilots of America is the national organization, and we are the California representatives of that organization.
Okay.
Now, like Texas is the Bronze Eagles. So all of us in different areas, like Atlanta, Florida, Chicago, all of us take names from the Tuskegee Airmen in honor of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Ah, okay.
On Memorial Day every weekend, not Memorial Day, the Memorial Weekend, we all meet at Tuskegee, Alabama for the National Convention.
Right. I remember you talking about that last year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So every Memorial Day, we fly from all over the country to Tuskegee to celebrate there 2 or 3 days.
Excellent.
In honor of the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, the other thing that we do is we try to send 10 people to aviation school out of California.
Nice.
Girls and guys. Preferably last year, we sent 8 blacks and 2 Spanish to aviation school in different ways. You can be a pilot, you can be a avionics technician, you can be a aircraft and power technician, you can be air traffic control. We get behind those people and send them to school, and that's the pride of our organization, if we can produce 10 minority people in aviation.
That's great.
Every year. Yeah, because when you ride around, you go to airports, not just to go get on the plane, but you go to airports and you go and where people work and stuff like that.
Sure.
Black people are hard to find, and the reason is that most black people they're not exposed to it.
Right. And that's a big problem in every industry. You know, if you don't have access, whether it's, the internet industry, software development, hardware development, whatever. If you don't have access to it, you're dumb. You don't know.
Yeah,
you're ignorant.
And you got to relate to it. I think we don't take kids in elementary school or middle school. We got to relate to it in what's them last 2 years in high school called?
Junior and senior.
Yeah, right. Okay, in junior and senior year. That's because then these people are about 17, 18, 16 years old, and they now can see in front of them and imagine, oh, I would like to be a lawyer. I would like to be a whatever they like to be. So I'm saying, if they're exposed to it at that age, then they can see it. And what you see is what you get.
Absolutely. That's a great program. Now, does each chapter around the country do something similar?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how many chapters are there, Ron? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I got a good idea.
I'm throwing you some hard balls here, right?
Yes, 12 chapters around the country.
Okay. And you're the president of the California Red Tails, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, they got a good man.
Well, I'm the president basically because maybe I should be the president, or maybe they couldn't find nobody else.
Nobody else wanted the job. They can't get rid of you because nobody else will run against you. That's called a dictatorship, by the way.
Well, you know what it is. No, what it really is, Lee, is when you look at. I was talking to the vice president about this day before yesterday. Any organization that you look at, 20% of the organization leads the organization. 80% follows. Now, that don't mean that I'm more qualified than a bunch of these other people in the organization. It's just that they don't want to do it.
Right.
Do it.
Well, that's an important thing to recognize as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're certainly qualified. I mean, you've run, multi-million-dollar companies.
Yeah.
And, you know how to organize and motivate people and be a leader. So that's an important quality in your character. So
thank you very much for saying that.
You can do it.
I'm very fortunate to be able to have those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing we do, check this out. The other thing we do is once we get a student that qualifies, that passes a certain examination and qualifies to go and enter into aviation school of whatever kind, we go to Southwest and present that kid to Southwest, and they pay for the tuition.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
My youngest son is in aviation. He works for American Airlines in Las Vegas.
Oh, man.
And he's a customer service manager for the airline.
Okay.
And he's been in the business now, oh, God, at least 5, maybe 6, 7 years.
That's beautiful.
And he's worked for several different airlines, Southwest, was it U.S. Air before they merged with American?
American, right.
Yep, and I think it was another one, Spirit or somebody.
Okay.
So he started out slinging bags, putting bags on the plane and taking them off.
Wow.
And he's worked his way up to, now he's a management, in the management category, customer service.
How old is he?
He's 28.
Oh, man, he's right there. He's okay.
Yeah.
And he's going to stay in that field.
Yeah, well, he seems to have a passion for it.
Okay.
And I've always told my children, follow your passion.
No question.
You know?
You got to like what you do.
Absolutely. Then you'll never have a job a day in your life because you won't look at it as a job.
You said it, buddy.
Yeah.
You said it. And I know you know what you're talking about because I've watched you for 40 years, and that radio thing, it's just, it wasn't about money. It's just, let me do this.
And just by chance, I made a lot of money, but it wasn't the purpose of me doing it.
I'm sure.
And I did a lot of it for free.
I'm sure
you're still doing it. You're still doing it for free. But I love it. It's a passion, you know?
Yeah.
I had a young man in my car over the weekend who just joined the Army straight out of high school. And, when he told me that, I had to dig into that conversation.
Okay.
And I said, why did you do that? He says, well, because, I want to do infantry. I went, really?
Really? Well,
he said, yeah.
Now, let me ask you this right quick. Was this a black guy or a white guy?
He's half black, half Mexican.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, I said, well, why that? Why not something that's not involved in killing? He said, well, well, that's what the Army is all about. I said, yeah, you're right. That and the Marines, you go in there with that understanding. I said, but what about your own life? I mean, aren't you concerned about that? He said, well, no, not really. He's well-built guy. He works out and all of that, so he's got this false sense of security, I guess. Mm-hmm. That I'm in shape, so I'm good. I said, no, dude, it's a whole lot more than that. And I shared a story with him as to how the military, in general, all branches, camp out in high schools and recruit kids, boys and girls, at the age of 17 and sometimes younger.
17.
And they tell them, don't tell your parents that you're going to enlist until after the fact.
I understand.
And that, I think, is wrong. It's taking advantage of young people. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't join the military. I'm not saying that at all. But how these guys are being recruited, or the recruiters, and I'm guessing, I'm not sure, but they must have some kind of bonus program as to how many recruits they get over a period of time.
Were you ever in the military?
I was not. My dad was, and I had 2 uncles and a brother-in-law. And I'm from a military town, so I certainly understand what the military is all about.
I was in the military.
Right.
And I went in the military at 17, just like you just got through saying.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why they recruit people that are 17 years old up to 22 years old is because they know they can get you and get into your brain and train you the way they want you to think and the way they want you to act.
Yep.
And the whole program, now, they don't recruit people that are 30 years old.
No.
You're too smart.
You're already set in your ways. And
yeah, right.
You'll say no before you say yes.
Exactly, exactly. And when, I'm an old guy, so when I went in the military, it was 1957. And I stayed there until 1959, 57, 58, 59, yeah. And 59, I just got tired of it and left.
You went AWOL?
I'm AWOL big time.
He said, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm done. They had me on Article 15 and they had me tied down every weekend doing Article 15 and all this kind of stuff. They messed around there one day and one weekend and give me a weekend off.
Uh-oh.
Shouldn't have done that.
Say they're still looking for you?
No. They found me. It took them about 6 months to find me, and they found me, took me back, put me in the stockade, and put me in the stockade. I stayed in the stockade for a while, and then they give me a court-martial. Now, check this. The person who headed up the court-martial was General Westmoreland.
No kidding.
Yeah, who was the head guy over the 101st Airborne Division. And that's what I was in the 101st Airborne Division. And when I look back at aviation, that's kind of what got me into aviation, as I was jumping out of them airplanes in the 101st Airborne Division. But what was happening was President, what's his name, in 1952.
Eisenhower?
No, the one just before him.
Truman.
Yes. President Truman integrated the military from the black agents, from the black companies to just everybody. So what they did, watch this, man. They broke up the black units and then sent the officers and all the people into other companies. Well, when you was if you was a captain and they switched you over, they dropped you to lieutenant. If you were the master sergeant, they dropped you to a single sergeant. So, and now they integrated all of these. So now 90% of the non-commissioned officers in 1957, 58, and 59 were Southern white boys. And guys like me coming from Chicago, I had a friend come from Boston, one from Washington, D.C. We all went through the same stuff. It was difficult for us to function under these guys, because those guys was looking for us. When they walked in, you don't look them straight in the face, you look down.
Right.
And the guys from the South was doing it, but we wasn't doing it because I didn't know how. That wasn't a part of your environment growing up. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't instinctively know how to do it. So I caught hell, man. I mean, they kept me on all kind of duties and shit like that. So I'm like, okay.
You were pulling KP all the time, huh?
Huh?
You were pulling KP all the time?
All the time, man.
Cutting the skin off potatoes and all kind of crazy stuff.
All that kind of stuff. All that kind of, okay? That was my job. On top of whatever else I was supposed to be doing, okay? And I guess it's because I couldn't fit. I couldn't fit with them guys.
Right.
So it was very uncomfortable for me. And I really felt bad about it. I felt when I got out, I had an undesirable discharge. I felt bad that I had done that and I wasn't honorable and all that kind of stuff. And my biggest hero, one of my biggest heroes in life, is Muhammad Ali. When he stood up against them and said, "No, I ain't going over there fighting them people. Them people ain't done nothing to me." And the way they treated black people in the military just wasn't good. So I have a negative opinion of the military. I think that the military is backed and sponsored by rich people. And when we have wars like that war we just got through with over there under the Bushes.
Yeah.
Bush and Cheney.
Middle East.
Yeah, cost
Iraq.
cost the American taxpayer $1 billion a month.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, DuPont, and everybody looks at DuPont, they think it's a chemical company. DuPont makes more as the number one weapons, bullet, and dynamite maker in the world. Every time we have a war, America, DuPont makes buku money. So does Boeing. So does there's a bunch of companies that make a lot of money off of war.
Absolutely. Raytheon.
Yes.
Yeah, there's tons of companies.
And so now these people go over there in the military, and they come back out of the military, and some of them looking for some protections and stuff like that. They don't give a damn about them people. So hey, I don't want to take you. You open the door, and I took you. Okay.
You jumped out of the plane without a parachute on it, and just went all the way down.
Yeah,
no, but you see, I think these type of conversations are very important, especially to young people, because they have no idea. And going back to the recruiting thing, they tell these kids a lot of stuff that just isn't true.
Right.
For example, they give you a little test and they find out, where you best fit. Mm-hmm. So you might, say, okay, I qualify to be in some kind of management position or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes you think, okay, I'm safe. I won't have to be out on the front line. Now, my son joined the Marines, and
Okay.
I was just infuriated over how they did it. They told him not to tell his mom and dad that he was out on the weekends, every weekend, with a bunch of other kids and one of their sergeants out there actually training in the park.
Yeah.
And they told my son not to tell me.
Exactly. I know.
I was very, very upset about that. I almost got locked up because I went down to the recruiting station and confronted the guy.
Right.
And I was ready to go to jail. And listen, I tore his ass up. I said, you don't deserve to wear that uniform. For you, a Marine, to tell a young person to not be honest and truthful to their parents.
But you got to understand, that Marine had already been where your son was.
Right. He was already brainwashed.
They trained him.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I pissed him off so bad he tried to throw me out of his office and called the police. And I said, well, you better call your boss, the police, the FBI, the CIA, and everybody else, because it ain't going down.
I hear you.
Now, I had a friend who had a friend over at the Pentagon, and I was consulting with him to find out how to get my son out of this bullshit they stuck him in. And what they don't tell these kids is no matter what you qualify doing this test and you think you're in the safe zone, the reality is these recruiters or nobody else makes any decisions other than the Pentagon. So if the Pentagon says, Ron Ellison, okay, you're qualified to be a computer technician. But son, you're in the Army or the Marines, I'm sending your ass to the front line. Damn these computers.
Right.
I don't need you to do that right now.
Right.
So that's an override, but it comes from the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Not your captain, your lieutenant, your sergeant, none of them. They don't make that decision.
I'm telling you.
And they don't tell these kids that. And that kind of deception pissed me off. Okay? So, I caused a real scene. I ended up getting a colonel who was in charge of the region, and we were in Maryland at the time. And I met with him, and he, said, look, okay, basically he said, you busted us. You know too much, sir. So here's what we're willing to do. We're willing to let your son out of the Marines, because he had signed, he was getting ready to be shipped off, go to boot camp, the whole nine.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. And he said, but the only thing is, by me letting him out, he will never be able to join the military ever again. I said, I'm fine with that. The hell with that.
Thank you.
Because I don't want him to be a part of an organization that's going to have him lie to his parents.
Yeah.
Where's the honor? And I told this little sergeant or whatever he was, I said, you don't deserve to wear that uniform. And I said, because you have disrespected that uniform by telling my kid to lie to me.
Well, you told him that, but I'm going to tell you.
And it pissed him off, too.
I'm sure it pissed him off, but you got to understand that he has. I was in there for 3 years, and I got to tell you, going in at 17, you're coming out at 19, 20 years old. Or some people re-enlist. Yeah, and by that time, you're already brainwashed.
Yep.
You know, so if I have daughters, Lee, I wasn't fortunate enough to get no sons, but if I had daughters, if I had sons, I'd send them to Canada before I let them go into the military. I swear
well,
to God,
you know
I ain't lied to
what?
you.
Now with the way things are, and if a draft was to be reinstated, they would probably start drafting women as well, because now women are equal in the military and they do just about everything. So, you know, they're not going to be able to get the male, you know, type that they want. So they'll probably start drafting females as well. And that's fine if that's, you know, if you want to do that, if you want to be in the military, but if you're drafted, you'll have no choice.
No, well, I don't think they draft you anymore.
No, they don't. But I'm just saying, if the shit hits the
join.
fan and they can't get people to enlist, they will start a new draft.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to get people to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, now you're going to get, well, now look who's joining the military today, Lee Michaels. I'm very, very happy to say that my perception is they don't enlist. They don't get as many black young men as they used to. Most of the military now, small town, suburban,
rural areas,
white boys. There's not too many blacks.
And the reason is because they don't have the opportunities. I mean, this is kind of like the last resort of, you know, listen, I can't work at the hardware store down the street because they're not hiring. And the grocery store just shut down because Walmart came in.
Whoa.
So there's a lot of reasons why these small town, rural areas, these kids are running to the military because there is nothing else for them in life.
You are right. You are right.
And that's sad.
Well, yeah, it is sad. To me, and this is my humble impression, is that you just mentioned Walmart. You just when you think about Home Depot, you think about Lowe's, you think about Target. All these stores, and you know I fly, so I fly in these small towns, and I go riding around in the towns, and then all these people you're talking about, and put all them small businesses out of business.
Yep, they're gone.
And you work at those places, you don't make a lot of money.
Nope.
You know, and the retirement is like very. I think they're trying to get rid of us.
Well, you know, whether it's by design or just by
greed.
Well, I think that's more what it is. It's how can we spend less, get more profit, pay people less, buy cheap shit-ass products, make more money for our investors and ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, basically,
care nothing about the middle class.
No, the corporate bosses will tell you that when they get challenged on things like, you know, the minimum wage of, you know, $15, they say, well, no, it's not going to work for us because our job is not to pay $15 an hour. Our job is to make our investors more money. So what does that mean? That means we will squeeze every department within the company to a bare minimum to increase the profit. I get that. I totally understand how that works and why. But I don't agree with shitting on people who work hard, who are creative, that comes in and sometimes give companies great ideas and never reward it.
Absolutely.
So that process is not fair.
Well, but they're not intending to be fair. They're intending to be rich.
Exactly. So their agenda is very pointed. Make more money.
Right.
Spend less, make more.
Yeah, that's
Period.
Right. I was talking to a Spanish guy yesterday at the airport, and he was saying, I was saying to him, I said, you know, a lot of Spanish people come over here to America. You know, I've flown over Mexico. It's pretty over there. Why don't y'all stay home? He said, it ain't worth it over there. He said, there's two kinds of people in Mexico. The very rich, and there's 28 families. He counted them out.
Wow.
There's 28 families, rich families, and they keep the people as poor as they can keep them. I said, well, what's with that? Because they can get everything they want for free.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why people in Mexico risk their lives coming over here.
Yeah. It's that hope to get out of bondage, to get out of suffering and not having any opportunities presented to them.
Exactly.
I totally understand that.
Oh, I mean,
and they're willing to work hard, come over and do the jobs that Ron Ellison is not going to do.
Oh, man. Tell me about it. Hey.
You
just said a mouthful right there. Because, I'm an old guy. I came up in the 40s and the 50s when we was coming up out the South. See, there was a lot of work in the South, but you make $1 a day.
Yeah.
Now you go up north to Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, those places where they were paying people making $150 a week.
Right. That was big money back in the day.
That was big money, man. People was walking out of Mississippi.
Yeah. Well, that big migration, the southern migration that went north, it depending on what part of the South you were in, if you were in like Mississippi, Alabama, and places like that, you went up to Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, and then the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida.
New York.
Yeah, exactly. The migration was up north.
D.C.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So, I experienced that in my family. Many of them went up to New York and Connecticut.
Okay, because you're from Virginia, ain't you?
I'm from Virginia.
Okay.
That's right. So that was that northern migration because they were looking for better opportunities. And it's the same thing with the Latinos that are coming in from Central America and Mexico and South America and all of that. It's a natural thing.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that our political people have made it such a big deal and really turning that movement into something that's really a nasty idea. But many of these same corporations benefit from that.
Now, and you know what?
Okay.
Yeah, but they're tired of it now. They started it, see, because after the civil rights movement, I was watching this. After the civil rights movement, middle-class black people and middle-class white people did not want to be maids and butlers and picking fruit and stuff like that anymore. So these companies open the door and let these people come in. Now you see Trump on the TV talking about building a wall and all that kind of stuff. Well, they brought them people. They opened the door for the people to come in here, but now they're tired of them because there's 68 million Mexicans in here now.
Well, you know what? And he's still benefiting from that because when he builds buildings, who does he hire?
Mexicans.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's so hypocritical, to push back on the idea, the concept of people coming in here. Listen, I think if we have laws, rules, and regulations, then everybody should abide by that. Okay, so if you're going to come in this country, and wherever you're coming from, forget about Mexico and all of that. If you're coming from Russia, if you're coming from China, Japan, the Middle East, I don't give a damn where you're coming from, come the right way. Period.
Well, here's the point. The rich people here in America, they don't give a damn about no laws.
No, they don't.
They don't give a damn about no laws,
have to.
man. Lee, I know you can relate to this. Now, back in the day, in the 70s, and I was doing promotion for Warner Brothers and Columbia, there's companies and stuff. Now, people in radio and television were working for these stations, and they were making a decent amount of money, but they wasn't going to the bank big time.
No.
They were doing what they did because they loved it, and they were making money off of it. Now, me in the music business, record business, we're selling records all over the place. Now, so you go and meet the guy who programmed the radio station, and you and him go out for lunch or dinner or something like that, and y'all do some under-the-table stuff. Everybody share, and they share and share alike. And then, so now you could say, oh, yeah, but that was against the law. Watch this. So now, 80% of radio and television back then had to be owned by American entrepreneurs, and only 20% was owned by major corporations.
Right.
And the reason why they had it like that was because they wanted the communication to the people to be controlled by the people.
Right.
So payola was illegal. If you get caught doing payola, shit, you could go to jail for that.
Of course.
So now what has happened, thank you, Ronald Reagan, you're rotten, and he changed the law. You could only own one television station, one radio station, and
one AM, one FM, and one TV in the same market,
and one section of cable,
right,
in a market, right?
Right.
Now Ronald Reagan changed it so you can own 12 facilities in one market.
Mm-hmm.
Today you're looking at 80% of the communications that's coming to the people are controlled by 3 or 4 companies.
Right.
And payola, Lee Michaels, is legal now.
Yep.
You get your record on the radio, they're going to charge you.
That's right. But it's all done at the corporate level.
Right.
The companies, the VPs of programming and the president of the companies are cutting the deals with the record labels. It comes to them in the form of, quote, promotion or whatever.
And comes in the form of a check that makes it legal.
Millions of dollars a year go to these radio companies now on the corporate level.
Right.
So the local program director and the handful of music directors that may exist now have no decision, very little input in terms of what songs go on the radio.
On the radio. And
all that's done at the corporate level.
The other thing is, Lee Michaels, is when you were programming a radio station, you programmed to a community. You know what's
to that
going
local
on.
Community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they don't know what's going on in the community and don't give a damn.
No damn. They don't have to. Because the regulations, it was deregulated. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do news. They don't have to have community affairs.
Service.
No, none of that. They don't have to do any of it. They pulled all of that out to give the freedom to these new broadcasters to do whatever they wanted, but they never told the public that if you don't like what is happening, you have the right and the ability to file a complaint against these licenses, and then we'll take a look at it. The Federal Communications did not share that knowledge with the public.
Right. And the other thing is, Lee Michaels, another big move right here is that before Ronald Reagan changed all the rules and regulations, nobody from a foreign country could own a communication station in this country.
Right. Now they can.
Today you got Rupert Murdoch living in London. Him and his sons, they got 96 radio and television stations.
Yep. Well, now they can own 100% of it. It's been moving to 100% over the last 30 years. One time it was maybe 10 or 15% of ownership that you could invest as a foreigner. Now, anybody from any country that we don't consider a terrorist country can come in and buy 1,000 radio stations and own it 100%.
Exactly.
That to me just makes no damn sense.
And that's so when I said that, I opened this conversation, and thank you. I know that you are tremendously knowledgeable about this, but it's not about these people. They change the laws whenever it fits their purpose.
Of course.
So they don't go according to the law. They don't give a damn.
And the reason that the 100% rule is in place now is because companies like iHeartRadio, iHeartMedia have nowhere else to go in the United States for funding for investors because they have tapped every source in America. Mm-hmm. They are in $20+ billion of debt. They will never get out of that debt. It's impossible.
Okay.
Because in order for them to get out of the debt, they would have to increase revenues anywhere from 10 to 20% a year across all of their properties, and that's impossible.
But they can't do that.
It's impossible. Your ratings don't go up proportionately. And the advertising community is not going to give you a 20% increase in what you paid last year because they have to justify that to their clients.
Yeah.
So if I'm XYZ advertising rep firm, and I have Coca-Cola as a client, and station ABC says, okay, you paid us $300 a unit per commercial every time it played last year, okay? But I need a 20% increase. This is a salesperson talking to this rep firm. Okay. And the rep firm says, well, what are your ratings? Says, well, we're actually down 1.5%. Well, why in the hell? How do you think I can justify to Coca-Cola that I'm going to increase your rates and you're going backwards? It ain't going to happen.
Well, they done changed the rules and regulations, Lee, because I know back when in the 70s and stuff, when you first got in the radio and I first got into the record business, to buy a radio station, I remember you had to come up with annual income of the station times 5, and that's the price of the radio station.
Well, shit, that was blown away, 20 plus years ago, when they were paying 10, 20, 15, 20 times the multiple.
Well, you figured, right.
And that's why the prices of these stations went so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. KJLH right now is worth $44 million.
Mm-hmm.
I know they don't make that kind of money a year.
No, nowhere near.
And if you was counting up their annual income a year, you would be 40 years.
Yeah. At 10 times the cash flow, they would have to be doing $4.4 million to justify $44 million.
Okay. All right.
And that's after expenses.
Uh-huh.
And I would doubt that station is doing that kind of revenue.
Oh, I don't think they are. I think the reason why why that station is still there is because Stevie owns it, and his motivation is not profit.
No.
His motivation is most of the people that work at that station are family members. And even when I say family members, his daughter works there, his niece works there, and he's got his family, but all the other people who are in sales and stuff been there 20 years and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's very loyal to the people that work for him.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely, and that's a good thing. He's the last of the Mohegans, in that respect, because if you're working for one of these publicly traded companies, they don't give a damn. They don't even know who you are.
Right.
Outside of the major corporate level and maybe the general managers and sales managers, they don't know your name.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
No.
They don't want to.
It's all about money. It's like this guy, and I don't mean no harm, but this guy, and I know you know him, this guy who started BET and then turned around and sold it 15 years ago, something like that, for $6 billion.
Yep.
Man, $6 billion. Oh, what the hell's the difference in $1 billion and $6 billion? You know what I mean?
Well, it's a slight difference, but yeah.
You can't drive but one Cadillac at a time.
Well, you might want a fleet of them. And then you got to build a garage to put them in. Then you got to buy the land to build a garage on. So it snowballs.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets crazy after a while. Ridiculous.
You're right.
Well, we got Carol sitting here, and she's falling asleep.
Okay, I'll be quiet. I don't mind.
We got
being
Alfo
quiet.
and Chris. Maybe these guys have some questions for you. You can engage with them.
Oh, yeah, let me jump in. First of all, hey, Ron, how's it going, man?
I'm fine. How you doing today?
I'm all right. Listening to you guys talk about radio, I always sit back and learn, of course, and a lot of stuff you talk about. I was there, or I was in college learning about President Reagan with the 1 and 1 and 1, the 1 a.m., the 1 FM, and the 1 TV station. So it brought back all these memories.
And you could not own a newspaper if you owned the other three.
Right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. We were just learning that. And I remember that and radio, how I used to listen to it before. Always said, for me, so I always want to be in radio since I was 6 years old.
Well, you
so
sound like a radio person. I ain't never met you, but you sound like a radio guy. Go ahead.
Oh, well, thank you.
You got a face for radio, too.
That's why I stay on the radio. If you see me on Facebook Live and go blind, it's not my fault.
Okay.
But, I was saying, reminiscing about the whole radio thing, I've always said, like, when I first got into radio, it reminded me of the scene from The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy goes from black and white to color.
Uh-huh.
And then once you cross that threshold, you know about radio from the inside out. And for me, radio was something special, and it still is. But today's radio I can't listen to because it's too much greed. And what I mean by that is, you'll pick this up, of course, what I call greed in time. So, for example, where you live at, you be in your car at one point in time ago, turn on a local station, and you hear traffic reports. Where you're going to go to, the arteries and stuff like that, from one point A to point B. So nowadays I'm on, just listening for listening's sake, and I'll turn on the radio to, say, one of these damn iHeart stations, outbound traffic on Dan Ryan, take about 15 minutes. This report brought to you by, I'm like, wait, only got one, I got one report. And it goes right into a sponsorship. So it's like everything else be damned, money be first. And once again, I understand that, but at the sake of information, the sake of originality, as you and I all know, is all gone. It's all gone to crap.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a damn shame because the radio, as we know it, radio as we listen to it, was not like that. I know about change and evolution, everybody gets that, but it just went to the shitter, and to the point where I don't even listen anymore. I honestly don't.
I don't either.
There's no reason to.
Right.
They're even selling stuff now, sponsorship. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show, live from the Red Bull studio. Shit like that. I would go, what? From the Coca-Cola studio, I'm broadcasting live today on WBMX. So I would go, what? You're selling the banner of, I guess it's like the concert venues or the ball stadiums, AT&T Stadium and stuff like that. But, I mean, what else are you going to pimp out?
Everything.
Yeah.
You pimp out everything, like going back to when iHeart was formerly Clear Channel. And as you know, locally you have billboards that had various advertisements on it. So what do? You buy the billboard company. And you control the narrative with that. So not only do you own the radio stations, you control the billboards that are on there too. So yeah, you pimp out everything.
Uh-huh.
Put them on the stroll. And you better come back with my money.
How is it that you can own 950 stations, you own all the billboards in the country, a large percentage of them, you own all of the major concert venues, you own Ticketmaster, and then all the other venues and situations that iHeart owns, and you're still in debt? I don't get that. That means you don't know what the frick you're doing as a management company, because how are you going to monopolize the entertainment industry and also in the recording business now, I understand. How do you have all of that access and lose money is beyond me.
Yeah.
I don't get it. If you're gonna pimp, be a good pimp. Make a profit. But see, the problem is, the corporate bosses are paying themselves $20 million a year plus a bonus for doing a bad freaking job.
Hey, Lee Michaels.
Yes, sir.
What you're discussing right there, I don't have the answer, but let me tell you something that I see with these big organizations that don't make sense to me is that, what year was this? 2000. It was 2013. 2013, the president of Bank of America made $360 million, and 85,000 people lost their homes in that bank.
Isn't that something?
That don't make sense to me.
No, not at all.
They should have fired his ass.
Most of the corporate bosses, the presidents, the CEOs, the chairman, and many of the board of directors, even when the company fails to generate a profit, they still get bonuses.
They make right.
I don't get that. I mean, at my level, if I didn't get the ratings, either as an air personality or program director, operations manager, if I don't meet my goals, I don't get a damn paycheck for a bonus.
Exactly.
So why is it different at the top?
Well, you know what? I've been around for a long time, and I remember back in the day, and when I say back in the days, the 50s to 60s, around in those times, executives got paid more money than the people who worked there, but they got a decent amount of money, not $360 million a year.
That's obscene.
Huh?
And you're losing.
And the company losing business.
That's
and here's
right.
the cat get $360 million. To me, they ought to give him 20 years in the prison.
but during this whole housing scandal, very few, if zero, of the bankers went to jail.
Right.
These loan companies, even some of the lawyers. I only know of one lawyer that got in trouble, and he ended up not going to jail, but it was over some petty bullshit of some closings. Warren Ballantyne, who I work with.
Okay.
Who was a lawyer who was doing some closing deals on homes, and he might have made $500 per closing. But some kind of way he got all twisted up in some legal mumbo jumbo, and he's not where he used to be now because of it. Okay. But did he do anything that was more egregious or disrespectful or dishonest than the banks and the loan companies and the loan officers and all the other people that were making the decisions, knowing that these were going to be bust-out loans?
Okay.
And people lost their homes. Now, some of them should have never bought those houses because, but they were lied to, okay?
That's true.
They were lied to. When they went in there, this guy said, with no money down, we're going to give you zero interest for the first 3 years, and don't worry about it because in 3 years from now, there'll be a better program, and we can refinance you, and blah, 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 blah. Don't even worry about it. I got you. Go on and buy this, $500,000 house. That's
the last person that I blame when what you're talking about right now, the last person that I blame is the person who bought the house, because the person who bought the house has been wanting this since they were 10 years old.
Of course, the American dream.
An American dream, and they work every day, and now they get a chance to go buy a house, and they come up with whatever they got to come up with to get this house. Now, are they sitting down and saying, okay, am I going to be okay with the next 10 years of this? They don't think of that. I want this house right now.
Right. And they were told, don't worry about that.
Exactly.
Because we'll have a new program in 3 to 5 years.
Oh, boy.
And don't worry about that balloon that's going to blow up on you in 5 years. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I got you. Come on, son. Let's go on to closing and go on and get in that house. I was living in Maryland when this thing was beginning to peak and blow up. And there were some really nice houses in the outskirts of Maryland, outside of D.C. and places in Virginia, and people were buying these brand new homes.
Okay.
And on all these old flake-ass deals, right?
Yes.
So you could see them. They have moved in. They use all the money that they had to get to the closing. They've got, no grass because they can't afford the landscaping. They've got brown paper up at the windows because they can't afford the drapes or curtains or blinds or whatever. And they're living like that for a year or two before they can afford to furnish the house.
Yeah.
To fix it up, put window dressings up and landscaping. So it was a push from day one.
Yeah.
And they were hurting. But they got in the house. And that was the American dream they were trying to realize.
Right. And they're betting on the future that they're going to come to this. And because what I'm saying is this, these organizations they used to have limits and rules and regulations.
Right.
As you have to fit within this program in order to buy this house.
And the real estate agents, all they cared about was get to that closing so they can get paid.
Exactly.
And the mortgage brokers and all the bankers, everybody. Yeah. Everybody's about making some money.
Yeah.
On the backs of the people that are dreaming. So, I blame, there's enough blame for everybody on every level. As an uninformed consumer, you walked into a fire with blindfolds on.
Right.
You saw some heat. You could feel some heat, but you didn't know which direction it was coming from because it was all around you.
Right.
So you just kept walking, and you end up in the fire.
And you thought you was doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So do your due diligence. Don't let the dream become a disaster. You got to put some common sense into it. Do like Ron Ellison's, worth about $50 million right now.
Well, you know what? Now you just brought up a subject. But see, here's the thing. I think I said this to you before. I'm second-generation slave. The generation before me and my generation are the first two generations after slavery. And what has happened is all of my life I remember when I was a young man coming up, you was taught to work, go to work and make money and pay your bills.
Yep.
You were never taught money management. You were never taught how the value of money and what to do with money.
Well, because the people that were telling you to go out and work hard and, from sun up to sundown, and they didn't know either.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It was new to them. All they know or knew was to work hard and earn some money.
Exactly.
And you were able to put some bacon on the table at that point.
And that's what they were concerned about. When I was coming up, that's what they was concerned about.
I heard the same message.
Okay, and that's what, so I think that when the point I'm driving at is this. I will never forget this. I'm back in Chicago in the 70s. And I got this opportunity to buy this building at a really beautiful price. And I went and I said to my mother, I said, Mama, I got a chance to buy this building. It's a 12-unit building, and I can get it for $80,000. And now, because the guy who was losing the building, his mother and father left it to him, but now he done jammed it up and he's losing it. So
right.
I can. He owe $80,000 on the building. I can come in and give him $5. He put $5 in his pocket and sell it to me, right?
Right.
They're getting ready to take it from him. So I said to my mama, I said, Mama, I can buy this building and this is the price, blah, blah, blah. And she said to me, let me tell you something. You want to get the right advice on this, and I'm very proud that you're working hard and trying to do things, but go talk to people who own 3 or 4 of these. And then go over there to the bank and talk to the bank people that's handling the money about what to do and how to do. I can't tell you. I'm a maid. I ain't never made over $60 a week in my life. I'm the last person you want to talk to. So what she was doing was, hey, man, that's what you just said. Our parents didn't have it. They didn't know it either.
Not exposed to it. Didn't have that opportunity. But she had good common sense to tell you to go surround yourself with experts.
Absolutely.
And that's the bottom line.
Yes.
Go find out what you don't know.
And find out from somebody who already knows.
That's right. They've already been through the fire, so they know how to tell you what to avoid if they're going to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was great advice.
Man, I'll never forget it. And so I think now let me get to the other part, and then you can change the subject and talk to everybody else. But I think it's really important for us as adults in our life to get our younger people, our nephews, our children, our nephews, young people, and get them into money management at least 1 hour a week, studying whatever you want to be. If you want to be whatever it is you want to be, you can do that. But money management and all of that is something that has to be learned.
Yeah.
And they need to learn it because you need to know what to do with money before you get it. If you don't know what to do with it before you get it, when you do get it, you're going to mess it up.
Totally. Guarantee you.
Absolutely. Hey, Lee, all y'all, just check it out. 85% of people who win the lottery go broke in 5 years.
Yep. Well, Ron, I want to win $150 million or more. And I don't give a damn about 5 years from now because I probably won't be around.
You crazy. You are crazy.
But put that money in my bank. Let me see what I can do with it. No, but seriously, you're right. And I mean, the statistics are already out there to prove your point. And that's because, number one, they didn't know because they'd never had that kind of access to that kind of money before. So they start buying all the things they ever dreamed of and taking care of all the family members and the dysfunctional friends. And buying stupid shit that's never going to give you a return on your investment.
Oh, man.
All the fancy cars and the vacations and the clothes and drinking the top-of-the-line champagne and wine and all that. That is not a good investment.
No.
Okay, because you can go out and buy a $25,000 bottle of wine, and in 24 hours, that's out of your system.
And not only that, it don't taste no better than the $10 bottle.
That's right.
Of wine.
That's right.
I know. I drink wine every day. And I used to go, I'm right there with you, man. I used to buy these 25, 27 because it had a name, right?
Right.
But now I'm buying 9. I go over here to Rite Aid, and I get me a bottle of wine for $10.
There you go.
And it tastes just as good.
That's right. You're going to get the same buzz.
Right. Now I'm going to shut up and let y'all talk.
And, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Ron Ellison, who is a self-made man who's been very successful in the music business.
And real estate.
And real estate.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
And he's a pilot.
Yeah.
And he's the president of the California Red Tails, which is not a any kind of like porno kind of thing. It's
No, it's not.
no.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I got to put some stupid in it.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, and he happens to be a dear friend of mine. I love him to death, like a brother. He's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, we've known
Pure
each other
heart.
since 1973.
That's right.
And it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasurable journey all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've admired you from a close up and at a distance, even when we didn't speak for a year or two.
Yeah.
You were always one of the guys that I said, that's a cool dude. and folks, let me tell you something. He was one of the cleanest dressing guys in the music business. This guy was suit
sweet.
down, nice fancy tie, clean, sharp shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like a president before he was a president. I mean, you were wearing it, boy.
But you know where that comes from? Now look at you. Look at you. You know where that comes from?
Where does it come from?
Comes from Joe Medlin and Granny White.
Oh.
Those guys were before me in the music business. Granny was at Columbia.
Yeah.
He started working at Columbia in 1948. And Joe Medlin started working at Mercury in 1965 or something like that. So when I came in, those two guys were my mentors.
That's right.
And I remember both of them telling me over and over again, look, you want to be a vice president of one of these companies, you got to act like one and look like one now.
Mm-hmm.
If you act like one and look like one and watch, don't be tricking people and cheating people. Make sure that you make friends and be careful.
That's right.
And maintain good solidness. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, make sure you do it.
That's right.
And
now,
okay, so and you just said something to me that I didn't notice, but for you saying it, I'm telling you where I got it from.
Well, Joe Medlin is from my hometown.
Okay.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
From my neighborhood.
Oh, really?
My grandmother and his mother were best of friends.
Okay.
When Joe would come back home to Norfolk, he was like a star. Because he was a successful black man from Norfolk, Virginia, in the entertainment business.
Yeah, went to New York and became a huge
success.
Yeah.
His mother and my grandmother, they lived one block behind us. Went to the same church.
Okay.
My grandmother was a caregiver to his mom when she took sick.
Okay.
That's how far back my family goes with his family.
The whole, yeah.
Yep. They all went to the same high school. I mean, you had no choice. There was one black high school in Norfolk back in the day. So if you went to high school, you went to Booker T. Washington, period.
Okay. I got it.
And so the neighborhood was called Lindenwood.
Okay.
And so, yep, Joe Medlin is from my neighborhood.
And and Lee Michaels, before I met you and I was doing that, I remember I was a musician for 12 years. Mm-hmm. And I loved to go on the road. I was fortunate to play with Curtis Mayfield, Donny Hathaway, B.B. King, those kind of people, and travel. And every time you go into one of these towns, we went to the black neighborhood to play.
Yep.
And so the neighborhood you just described was the neighborhoods around the country that you went to the black neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sorry we don't have them no more.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. And in Norfolk, if you were a performer, when you came there, prior to integration of hotels and all that, there was one black-owned hotel that all the entertainers went to, and that was on Church Street.
I'm with you.
Yep. I'm trying to remember the name of it now, but it was a black-owned.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the people that owned it lived in the same neighborhood I'm from.
I know they did.
It was kind of a middle class / somewhat prominent neighborhood of black professionals.
Right.
There were lawyers, doctors, people that work for the government, principals, assistant principals.
Yes. Independent business
people.
people.
Their own grocery stores. That was the neighborhood.
And they, and crack would never have survived.
Right. Oh, no. Now going back to the neighborhood now, because all the old folks have gone, died, and the family members that got the property, many of them are dead. They're older than me, or some my age, and they sold the properties off as we did. And you go back now, and if I go to West Avenue in Norfolk, I would sit there and cry because it's not the same neighborhood.
I understand.
Yeah.
And the quality of the neighborhood, when I say you just described it. All of that, a young kid growing up in that environment,
right?
You was gonna be all right.
Yep. So that knock on wood, we survived and we grew, and I knew when I took the job in St. Louis, 1973, that I had already outgrown my hometown. I needed to go somewhere else to continue to grow, and that was the big motivation.
Right.
Now, I went from $160 a week working at a top 40 station in Norfolk to $220 a week at KATZ.
$220 a week, which is pretty good money back then.
Well, yeah, but it was and it wasn't, because the cost of living was a little higher there in St. Louis than it was in Norfolk.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, how about when you was making $290,000 a year?
Yeah, life was good.
I remember when you was making $300,000 a year,
or more. Yeah. But who knew that those type of opportunities would be afforded to me? That I would be blessed.
That's what I'm saying about. That's what I'm saying to you and everybody on this radio show about our responsibility to teach these young people about that kind of stuff. Because if you don't already know what to do when you get it, you ain't gonna do it right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I remember when I got the big money, and I said, okay, well, let's do direct deposit, because I don't even want to carry a check for $50,000.
I understand.
Or something. Let's do direct deposit. And quite honestly, when I got to that point, I was married to my second wife, Cindy.
Okay.
And I said to her, you manage the money. I know how to make it. I do not want to be responsible for taking care of the bills and the mortgages and all. You handle that. And she did a great job.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She did a great job.
That's beautiful.
Yep. And she even put me in check from time to time when I come home and say, I want to buy a bank. She said, what? You want to buy what? Yeah, I can buy a bank for $5 million. And I would go through the whole pitch, right? And she would eventually talk me out of it, because she said, what do you know about banking? I said, well, nothing, but they make money, right? Yes, but you have to understand how to run a bank. I said, well, I don't want to run it. We'll hire somebody to do that, and I'll go make some more money. So I would come up with a bunch of harebrained ideas, and, she was smart enough to know how to make me think about it. So, Cindy, if you're listening, thank you.
You was talking about buying a bank. Man.
Probably wasn't a bad idea, but
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know in Chicago, 3 people who own banks, started banks and owned banks. And when I first came to California, I knew 2 people who owned banks, and one of them was white and one of them was black. Here's the thing right today. The same thing has happened in banking that has happened to radio and television. Now, you can't point me to a middle-class corner bank owned by individuals.
Right.
All of them been taken over by the big...
That's right. It's all about market share.
Yes.
What was the name of the black-owned bank on this? Was it South Shore?
South Shore.
I got my first Mercedes-Benz...
On Stony Island.
Yes. Financed through them. My first Mercedes was purchased through South Shore.
Now check this. you just mentioned something else that I slapped my face with. I was a Mercedes freak, too. I bought my first Mercedes when? 1975. I paid $13,500 when a brand new Cadillac cost $6,000.
Right.
Okay, now, over my lifetime, I've owned 19 Mercedes, and 15 of them were new.
Wow.
And I'm not bragging. I'm slapping myself in the face because I buy this car, pay all this money for this car.
Mm-hmm.
And today, to go buy a Mercedes, a brand new Mercedes, four-door sedan with all the luxuries and stuff in it, now it's going to cost you right at $100,000.
That's right.
And then you go out there 3 years from now, you ain't going to be able to get $30,000.
That's right. When you drive that sucker off the lot, you've already dropped about 10%.
Oh, man, what
you
a
can't
waste.
bring it back the next day and say, I want my money back.
Shit.
Nope.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry, sir, that's your car. Yeah, well, I haven't had 19. I had 6 Mercedes and 3 BMWs and a bunch of other brands.
I'm telling you, Lee, I wouldn't buy nothing but Mercedes.
Me too.
I was a Mercedes man.
Me too.
Until I found out, I bought this Mercedes in 1987. 87 I bought it. Cost me $89,000. And then I got in financial trouble in 1990. The car had 19,000 miles on it. I couldn't get a quarter over $26,000.
No. It's crazy.
So I looked at it. I said, "Why, you damn fool! Why didn't you check this out before?"
Well, you didn't know. Now, did you purchase or did you lease?
Purchase.
Yeah. See, I never purchased. I always did a lease. So in 2-3 years, I was rolling out into another one.
Right.
I didn't want to put big money down on a car.
Well,
so I leased.
Now, just so you know, now I drive a Cherokee Jeep 2012 with 64,000 miles on it, and I have no plans of selling it or doing nothing with it.
You gonna drive it till the wheels fall off? Well, that's smart. See, you've learned, the value or the lack of value in spending $50, $60, $70, $80, $100,000 on a car. I will never do that again. If I won the lottery for $150 million, and if that was my take-home pay, I wouldn't run out and buy a $100,000 or $200,000 Mercedes.
I'd never do it again.
No.
Now,
don't need it.
I'll tell you what you can buy that makes sense. I was talking to this guy a week ago who owns a 1949 Plymouth convertible. And what I like about the 1949 Plymouth convertible is the first car I ever had in my life. And this guy's car is in beautiful shape. And it's worth $28,000.
$28,000. It costs how much new?
Brand new, $1,400.
See, well, those are classic kind of investments.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But any of these production cars you buy today ain't gonna ever be worth that kind of money unless you bought it, put it in a dry storage, covered up, and you bust it out 30 years from now with 3 miles on it.
Exactly.
You'll find a collector out there that'll probably give you, what you paid for it at that point. Maybe a little more. Yeah.
Or more. Look at Jay Leno, man. He got a warehouse full of
cars. Yeah. Exactly.
So buying cars, it can be a good investment, but it's not a brand new car. I'm telling you that. And the other thing is, four-door sedans, they drop like a rock. The ones that drop the less are the convertibles.
Yeah. And that's so funny. I've only owned 3 convertibles in my life. And the first, I bought them all used. I never bought a new convertible.
Okay.
But I never used it. I mean, if I put the top down, maybe, if I owned the car for 3 years, I may have put the top down 10 times.
I'm right there with you.
And the same thing with a sunroof.
With a what?
A moonroof.
Sunroof. Yeah, me too.
I don't use them. I keep that shit closed.
Yeah, wind blowing all on you and shit.
Not only that, I got too much skull now. All that forehead up here, the sun beaming down on it hurts.
The only time you want the top down is at night.
Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
I used to do that in Chicago during certain times of the year, going up and down Lakeshore Drive. It was kind of scenic.
Yeah. I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, but other than that, that sucker was closed, and the little shade on the inside was tight. It was not open.
I understand.
Yeah, I didn't like that heat beating down on my head.
I didn't like it either. I understand. It was, like you, though, I haven't owned that many convertibles.
No. It's overrated.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you live, too. Like in Chicago, you're rarely going to use it.
Oh, absolutely. And especially November, December, January, February.
Mm-hmm. You know what? And maybe it was a foolish fear, but I was always concerned somebody you had a stoplight and they run up and jump in the back seat. Now I got to kill him.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
No, I never thought like that. How many enemies did you have?
Oh, not many. That I know of, at least.
Okay.
That I knew of. Well, you know, it's interesting life stories, you know, and the things that you learn by doing. Sometimes you make bad decisions. Sometimes you make good decisions. You know, I like to think that if I look back over my lifetime and look at the number of good decisions versus bad decisions, I'm ahead of the game.
Yes, you are.
Because I'm still here.
Yeah.
So I must have done a few things right.
No, you've done a few things right. And the other thing you've done is you've helped other people.
Yeah.
When you were program director of radio stations, I saw you. I saw you help people. And that is something that you don't measure.
Right.
But it's very important in the whole process as you go along.
Mm-hmm. I still do it, Ron. I'm not in a position of hiring someone, but if anybody calls me and they need some advice or whatever, and want me to mentor them, I'll do it. I coach people all the time for free.
I've already well, it's something that you do because of where you are. You give back. I mean. I think you owe it to them.
Right.
I really do.
Somebody helped me in my humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And so I try to give back.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Like I'm telling you, I will never forget Granny White and Joe Medlin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had already been a musician for 12 years, but I didn't know nothing about business, and I didn't know nothing about the record business.
Right.
Those two guys, every time I ran into something I didn't know, I'd call one of them, and they'd be happy to tell me whatever I needed to know.
Did you also know Red Forbes?
Yes.
He's from Virginia.
Yes, I know him.
Yep. Good guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yep. A lot of great guys in the business back in the day, man.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And they probably got some of them today. I just don't know them.
Yeah. It's a different breed of guys, and nothing. I don't have anything negative to say about them. They're doing what they have to do in today's environment, as we did when we came along. You were ahead of me in the entertainment business, and things that you experienced, I didn't, and the things that you were able to change to make it better for the cat coming in behind you.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to continue to do.
Absolutely.
Improve the environment when you are in a position of power, so that the next person that comes through, it'll be a little bit easier for them.
Okay.
And pass that torch. Don't sit on the knowledge. Be selfish with it. Share it.
Lee, that's the key. That is the key. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. That's what's going to make the next generation of us.
Yep.
And I don't want to get too deep on this because I don't want to. I just recognize this. I've been around Jews all my life on the south side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago. There's plenty of Jews over there.
Okay.
And then, the record companies, Mercury Records is from Chicago.
Right.
Chess Records, Chicago.
Yep.
King Records, Chicago. All of them was owned by Jews. And then when I get into the music business and I get with Warner Brothers, Columbia, and those other companies, they are major Jews everywhere. And when the Jews bring their kids up, from the time the kid is 3 years old to the time the kid is 21, they some money counting people, boy. they some money counting people.
Yeah.
They have a complete conception of the power of money and what to do with money.
Yeah, yeah.
They really do. And it's just a part of their culture, you know?
Yeah, it is. And it's taught within the family unit, and they go to school, and it's smart because the bottom line is what drives the train right now, today.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you don't have that, you're in trouble.
My daughters went to school over here at Dixie Canyon in Sherman Oaks,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking to this Jewish lady one day. We were sitting there, and she says, well, you know, with Jews, number one profession is a doctor. Number two is a lawyer. Number three is a CPA.
Mm.
Number four is an entrepreneur, a businessman, or businesswoman. We don't teach our kids to be electricians and plumbers.
Right.
She told me that.
Yeah. No, because they're on that upper level with their mentality. They're not the hands-on workers.
Uh-huh.
You know?
And don't want to be.
No, that's not for me. And that's the mindset. And I get that. And I respect that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Some of the best business lessons that I've learned were from Jewish people.
Oh, yeah.
When I worked for Egmont Sonderling at WBMX.
I remember.
The man that made me a millionaire.
He gave you $1 million. He didn't give it to you.
No, I earned it. But we fell out. We were in negotiations for a new contract, and we fell out over $5,000.
Really?
$5,000. And I left, went across the street to WGCI, made, I think it was $35,000 or $40,000 more than what Egmont was offering me. I stayed there for 15, 18 months. Went to...
And ran his numbers down.
Took 50% of his audience away from him. Then I left GCI, went out to KMEL, and I got another $100 and some thousand increase in salary.
Right.
And so I'm there in San Francisco for about 4 months, and I get a call from the guy that didn't want to give me $5,000. He ended up giving me $2.5 million to come back to Chicago.
I remember that.
Okay? So the lesson from that, first of all, sometimes you got to spank somebody and walk away from the deal for them to respect you.
Yes.
And so when he had the opportunity to sell the station, but it was predicated upon me coming back in order for him to get the number he wanted for the station, because that was a prerequisite from the buyer of the station that said, hey, if you get Lee Michaels to come back, I'll give you $27.5 million for your station.
Right.
At the time, the station was
going to keep the numbers up on the station.
He knew I knew the magic to make it happen.
Right.
So at that time, the station was only worth about $17 million.
Okay.
So there was a $10 million gap there. So when he called me, he says, you thought about coming back, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I said, Egmont, it's going to cost you $1 million to get me to come back. He goes, is that your number? And I was just throwing a number out there. I didn't thought about it, but, it was a figure of speech. He said, that'll cost you $1 million, you jackass. So that's how it started.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't ask for it, I've learned, you'll never get it.
You ain't going to never get it.
And if you position yourself at a low ball number, that's what you're going to get.
Oh, well, that's because that's what you see. And
right.
And a lot of people don't have like you just threw $1 million out there, but now you ain't saying the rest of it. You threw $1 million out there, he give you $1 million plus you charge him $250,000 a year to work at his radio station.
Well, it was $1 million a year for guaranteed 2-year contract and a $500,000 signing bonus. That was the deal.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was also, what was it, $50,000 per quarter for a rating bonus. So it was a lot of money involved in that, and it was unheard of at that day and time.
And especially for a black man.
Oh yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I remember that. I'm proud of you.
Well, I just hope it made it a little easier for the next cat trying to get a $1 million deal. And there have been some air personalities that have come along, and so it wasn't hard to ask for what you thought you were worth.
But I think it's different today, Lee. I think it's different, and you know better than me. You was in it. But I look at this. I remember like, let me give you a good example. Bobby O.J. In Memphis, Tennessee.
Know him well.
He was, I know you do, but he is as famous in that town as the mayor.
Yeah.
He could go to schools and talk to kids.
That's right.
You know, he's invited to the Suitwan dinners and stuff with the high levels,
right?
Stuff like that.
That's right.
Okay, now when we were coming along in the 70s, we had every town had a couple of those guys.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
back in the 60s, it was the E. Rodney Jones types, and they're in Chicago, and
right.
But you're right. The air personality, you know, over the years has been a person that was a part of. He was a pillar in the community.
Exactly.
Okay, he was a voice of the community.
Yes.
And if you needed something done, you knew who to go to get it done.
And the mayor went to you.
That's right.
And the preachers went to you.
That's right. Now, a lot of that has been lost to a large degree, maybe outside of the morning show. And even with the morning shows, you know, a guy like a Steve Harvey or some of the other guys that are syndicated.
Oh, like, what's his name? I've only known him 40 years. The guy in Texas, Dallas. Tom.
Yeah, Tom Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those guys, I mean, people know their names and they respect them, they love them, they listen to them, but they don't have the easy access like when it was a local show.
Right.
And you know, so that's kind of changed the game a bit. And I don't think for a good reason.
Yeah, you know, like you go to Detroit, you had Al Perkins.
That's right.
Hey, man, those guys were influences in the community.
George E. Woods,
yes.
Frankie Crocker.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're right. And if they went on the air and said, hey, we need to do this, there's a family in need, you know, boom, it was taken care of.
No question.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember when I was in St. Louis at KATZ. Let's see, we only got a few minutes left here, but I'll tell you a quick story. The Isley Brothers came into town at the Kiel Auditorium.
Okay.
And they had a sellout concert, and I was one of the MCs on stage.
Okay.
And Rudolph, one of the Isley Brothers, had this beautiful diamond bracelet on his arm when he was out there performing.
Okay.
And he was on stage. He kept pointing out into the audience, you know, to the rhythm of the music, and that thing slid off of his arm into the audience.
Oh.
And it was worth at least $10,000, he said. Now, we're talking 1973, 74.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, obviously somebody in the audience picked it up and put it in their pocket. I went on the air the next day and told a story, and I said, I want that bracelet back, and I want it right now. Bring it to the station, put it in an envelope, leave it with the receptionist. There will be no questions asked. And if you do that and leave your contact information, I'll make sure you get something for it. Within 45 minutes, that bracelet was at the radio station.
You had the power, buddy.
Okay?
You had the power, yes, sir.
And things like that, those are the memorable moments. And I said, look, guys, Rudolph is a performer. He came here to entertain you, not to get ripped off. And I said, and it's not the quality of the people in St. Louis to do something like that. So let's give this man his property back. And I will talk to him about giving you a reward for doing so.
That was...
And when I called him up at the hotel, man, he was so happy to hear that we had retrieved his bracelet.
I'm sure he was.
And he says, man, how did you do it? I said, I just went on there and told him to bring it in. You know?
Now, you see, you might be the reason why the Isley Brothers live in St. Louis right now.
Well, you know.
That's where they live.
Is that right? No, they moved out of Jersey?
Oh, they moved. No, they live in St. Louis, buddy.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, they live. They bought a ranch right next to Chuck Berry's ranch.
Oh, up in Wentzville.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where they're at. That's where they're at right now.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, that's one of those stories. The power of especially black radio.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because you had the neighborhood, and the neighborhood supported you.
That's right. They love the air personalities.
Yeah, people, like you said earlier, people don't even listen to the radio no more.
No. I had 2 ladies in my car yesterday, took them to Venice Beach. One goes to UCLA and one goes to a college in downstate. What's a little town downstate? Champaign? Urbana? And they were here in L.A., and I took them out to Venice Beach because they wanted to do the little tourist thing. And so I was playing some old school music on XM radio. And they began to sing. I said, what y'all know about that? I said, who did the original track on this song? And one girl said, the OJs. I said, all right. I said, wow. I'm impressed. I said, how old are you guys? They were 25.
Wow.
So I said, where are you from? And one girl says, I'm from Chicago. I said, okay, I'm going to find out if you're really from Chicago. I said, what's your favorite radio station? No, before I asked the favorite, I said, WGCI. And she said, 107.5. I said, V103, WVAZ. I said, yeah, y'all from Chicago. And I told them who I was, and they were like tickled. They didn't. I think I've heard your name before. I said, yeah, you probably heard my name around. I said, but I haven't been on the radio there in many years. And so I said, Tom Joyner and Doug Banks. I started naming off people, Ramon Ski and all of that. So they said, oh, my God, I got to call my mom and tell them I met Lee Michaels. I said, yeah. So, but I run into those situations all the time.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
All the time.
I understand.
Yeah, man.
You guys were pillars in the neighborhood. I'm telling you, in certain parts of these cities, you were stronger than the mayor.
You're right. The radio stations elected mayors. I remember when Harold Washington became the mayor in Chicago.
Oh, man.
We had Harold Washington on the air, and we put all of the radio stations, black stations in Chicago, on a simulcast. We had the mayor on once a month so that the community had access and could ask the mayor a question. Something as little as, Mr. Mayor, I've been calling down to City Hall, and I've been trying to get these potholes fixed on my street. He said, what's your street? All right, no problem. It'll be taken care of. Somebody will be out there tomorrow. You see, that's power, man.
Oh, man.
You know?
Man. Yeah.
Cut through the bureaucratic bullshit. You talk to the man, he makes a phone call, get it taken care of, I want it done now.
But look at what you're doing. You're working with the community. You're helping the community.
That's right.
And that's where the loyalty comes from those people, from the people of the community. And that's
right.
What's missing today, Lee.
It is, totally. Well, Ron, we got to get out of here, but, man, it's always a blast when you call in and all of that.
Well, I'm sorry I took up all the show and the other people ain't said nothing.
No, well, they're sitting back listening and learning and, and all of that.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Talk to you soon. All right, folks, that wraps up another show. We'll be back here tomorrow. The Lee Michaels Show with Carol and the cast of characters. Chris, thank you, and Alfo, and everybody else. You.
Well, not a problem. You're welcome. Good
the
stuff.
most important part of the show are the listeners, the viewers. We love you. We appreciate you. We know you have a million choices for you to take the time to join us on this show and other shows. We appreciate it. God bless you. Be safe. And keep the fire on this guy's feet. He calls himself the president. Let's keep him on the grill until he comes clean. If not, we'll get rid of him. All right, peace, love, and dove.